Elbow Grease Productions, in association with MichaelJacksonInsider.com, presents
Welcome to MichaelJacksonInsider.com, and I'm Pearl Jr. And this week's commentary will focus on the preliminary trial of the People versus Conrad Murray, which started January 4th, 2011, and right now we're up to January 7th, which is Friday. The preliminary hearing will last 2 to 3 weeks, and we've only had 4 days of testimony. And it's kind of like a mini trial where the prosecution puts on a case, and then the defense puts on a case, and then there's closing statements. Well, in the opening statement, they pretty much went over what the public already knows, that Michael was having a doctor spend the night at his house, and the doctor gave him an overdose of propofol mixed with some other sedatives so that Michael can sleep because he was an insomniac. Now the real question is, and they're trying to answer at this particular time, is Dr. Murray liable enough for the death of Michael Jackson in which a judge will decide if he will stand trial? Right now this is a mini trial, and it has its parameters where you can't do character assassination and you can't go into things that are connected to the death of Michael Jackson. Only talk about, is Dr. Murray responsible for the death of Michael Jackson, and that's all they're discussing right now. Well, in the beginning, the opening statement from the prosecution didn't fail to mention that there was not a contract signed between Michael Jackson, Dr. Conrad Murray, and AEG, which were the concert promoters for the This Is It tour that Michael was rehearsing for. Now, the funny thing is, Kenny Ortega, apparently, according to TMZ, he also did not have a signed contract with Michael Jackson, AEG, or Dr. Murray, and he was wondering why Katherine Jackson had included him as a defendant in the wrongful death lawsuit of Michael Jackson. But Kenny Ortega was the first witness on the stand. Now, Kenny Ortega did say something very, very interesting. He talked about the illusion starts tomorrow. Now, the reason why I'm going to bring that up, because I want to talk about the death hoax. This has zero to do with the death hoax, only that Michael Jackson is not with us. That's the only parallel that's in this, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the murder conspiracy that people talk about with Sony, AEG, or whoever, Dr. Tomei, Branca, and all that. It has nothing to do with that. Only is Dr. Murray responsible enough in the death of Michael Jackson so that he will stand trial. Now, a judge will make the decision soon after the closing arguments, and we think that should be either the end of this week, this coming week, or the week after. Now, it's like I said, it's pretty much the same story that we've already heard. It's just a lot of contradictions within the testimony. Some of the contradictions in the testimony was that Dr. Murray gave Michael propofol 6 nights a week. But Nicole Alvarez, who is Dr. Murray's baby mama, whose home he was staying here while he was in Los Angeles, said that Dr. Murray spent the night with her 14 out of the 30 nights, sporadic, 3 or 4 days here, 2 or 3 days there, from the months of April, May, and June, because they had a baby in March. So he was there for her and also there for Michael Jackson. Nicole Alvarez also said that she did not know exactly what Michael did with Dr. Murray, or what Dr. Murray's function was with Michael Jackson, but she knew that they were doing something together. There is an explanation for the trauma Gershwin. The blood work, according to the autopsy, was done under the name of trauma Gershwin, and they explained that that was just for VIP customers. Now, we know also VIP patients, I should say. We also know that Michael was supposedly admitted to UCLA under the name of Soleil Sean. That has not been explained, brought up, or even discussed. When we talk about the security that you always saw around Michael, well, it is owned, it's called Security Measures, and it is owned by somebody from the Nation of Islam. And apparently all the security people were Nation of Islam, and most people think it's all black, but Alberto Alvarez, who by all accounts looks Latino and has a Latino last name, even though Nicole Alvarez is more of a black girl and she has a Latino last name, but I'm not going to get into the history of cultures and languages at this time. And also the children's nanny, who we have not heard from at all. Her name is Rosalind Muhammad, and she's apparently a wife of one of the Nation of Islam security people, and she was the children's nanny who was also present that day. Now, Fahim said he's one of the security. Pretty much he came in after Alberto Alvarez into the room, which was set up kind of like a hospital room where there was an IV, there was a doctor, there was a jug of urine, there were other medicines in the room. So it was set up somewhat like a doctor's room. Well, he was, let's say, the fourth person in the room. During the time that Michael apparently stopped breathing, or Dr. Murray noticed that Michael stopped breathing, was around 11:51. And he was on the telephone call with one of his women's. Three of his women's, his lady friends, came in and testified, and apparently it overlapped because Dr. Murray also was married. So Dr. Murray does have women issues, and he has 7 children. By how many babies mamas, I do not know. But Fahim said that he saw the paramedics use one of those electric shock things, you know, that we see on TV, and they shock them back to life. Well, when the paramedics came, they said that no, that they did not use that machine. That's really for theatrics that people use in the movies to kind of make a scene seem more exciting. Now, there is some controversy about the floor. Was Michael Jackson on the floor, or was he on the bed? And we know through the 911 call, when Alberto Alvarez got a call from Michael Amir to go check on Michael and go upstairs, because security was not allowed upstairs. They weren't even really allowed inside of the house. They would go inside the house and put whatever gifts or whatever Michael had, whatever they had to give to Michael, on the stairs, and they stayed outside on the side and in a trailer. So when Dr. Murray found out that Michael wasn't breathing, he was on a telephone call apparently with Miss Anding. Her name is Sade Anding, who was a girlfriend who believed that she was his girlfriend during that time. And they were talking, and all of a sudden he wasn't there anymore. And she said she heard voices, she heard commotion, and she heard coughing. And it sounded like the phone was in a pocket. And what I don't understand is why wasn't it elaborated? Because now there's not just Michael and Dr. Murray in the room. There's Michael, Dr. Murray, and someone listening, a third witness, on the telephone. And they didn't ask her, what did the coughing sound like? They didn't ask her if they heard Dr. Murray going, Mr. Jackson, wake up. They did not elaborate they didn't elaborate at all, which I found extremely odd, because if Michael was coughing, that means that he woke up and there was a chance to save his life, and Dr. Murray did not know CPR. We know that he was doing CPR on a bed and not on the floor. In the bed, you just can't get the pressure, and he was doing it with one hand. Dr. Murray called Michael Amir, I need help. Dr. Murray also went downstairs and told the chef, Kai Chase, bring Prince up and get security. And all she did was bring Prince up, and she didn't go get security. I don't know why.
Pseudocide. Did Michael Jackson fake his death to save his life?